Yeah. Good morning again.
Morning, ma'am.
So, chapter 5 Therapeutic Approaches. We start that today. Out of 9, we have completed 4. So, it's the fifth one. We're almost approaching the midway. Okay. Therapeutic approaches. Obviously, we'll be dealing with the different types of therapies that we do in psychology, on the field of psychology. Okay, we have different forms based on the psychodynamic approaches. We have CBT, we have BT, which is behavior therapy, cognitive therapy, logotherapy, then humanistic existential therapy, biomedical therapy, gestalt therapy. Remember gestalt concepts, gestalt theories? The day I learned, no, the day I taught you, I told you, no, we'll have to learn so many things based on that. In perception, sensation, attention, and perception, we learned a lot about Gestalt, isn't it? And here we have it in the form of therapy. Using the concepts of Gestalt principles, we are doing therapy. Okay. Now, what is your understanding about psychotherapy or the therapeutical approaches? Whatever you know, whatever concept you have, however you have conceptualized it in some or the other way, speak up. We'll discuss and then we'll start. What is your understanding of therapy, psychotherapy? Speak up.
It is about dealing with the disorders, like either reduce it or remove it completely.
Reduce it or remove it completely. Okay. Then talk about anything related to therapy. Hmm?
Music therapy, like using ragas. Last year you said about it.
Yes. My friend is studying music therapy now, Cambridge University. That is very that is found to be very effective. The studies are being conducted and in that field, and it's a what do you call it? It's a developing field now. It's developing form of therapy now, music therapy. Then have you heard of handpan? Even I didn't know what that is until he introduced that. I mean, that friend introduced that to me. He uses that. It's a musical instrument. It's a percussion instrument. After the class, go Google and see. Looks like a small spaceship, small one. There's just so many notes on that. Okay, then, and it is also said to have so many healing properties. That particular instrument and the music from that. Okay, come on. What else do you know, or what else have you understood about therapy? Therapeutic relationship, the people who come for therapy, the therapist. Talk about any such topic. What happened to you all? Why are you not speaking up? Hmm. 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 Talk something. Elvina.
I had about one therapy. It's called pranic healing,
Hmm.
and I had done that. It's
Where
like
did you do it?
in my home
And from where did you get to know about it?
because my cousin, as she is a founder, not founder, um, she was in that one organization known for that pranic healing.
Hmm.
She is one
She
among
knew it.
them. Yes,
She
and
knew the method and she taught you.
and I didn't had learned, but when I had the problem of migraine, her one of her friends has come to my home and she did that to me, and I find it very
Yes.
like yes, and it's very like peaceful and very calm.
Hmm.
It makes our mind very calm, and we will while doing that we won't be able to come in touch with any other thing. We'll be in that conscious.
Okay. How is psychotherapy different from the medical consultation with the doctor? Spot the differences between the two situations.
The doctor prescribes medicines.
Megna.
For psychotherapy, we more open about our life experiences, but in medical consultation,
Medical consultation?
we won't open our experiences like life experience or past experiences. We do
Then what will we speak more about?
our illness, if like fever and all like that.
Hmm.
But in psychotherapy, we tell our problems.
Hmm. Okay. Then. Mehak.
Same point. While going to a doctor, we usually say the biological problems, but then in a psychotherapy,
Hmm.
you open up more and then the changes might occur internally.
Okay. Then. What is the other difference? What is the main difference between psychotherapy and consulting a doctor? Or regarding the treatment that we get from both the situations?
Consultation with doctor.
Louder.
Consultation with doctor means they treat us as medicines.
Hmm. They'll give us medicines.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes. They'll give us medicines.
Yeah, for therapies they give a counseling. They
They give
talk.
counseling.
Yeah, we open up more.
Hmm. Yes. So psychologists generally in India, are they prescribing medicine? No, they cannot. Okay, then. How should be a therapist? What are the characteristics of therapist? Of a good therapist?
Patience.
Patient,
Not judging,
non-judgmental,
Friendly.
friendly,
They try to create a good rapport.
establish a good rapport. Then we have studied this already. Hmm.
Should try to know the person more.
Hmm. Then
The details of the person have to be kept confidential.
ethics have to be followed. Confidentiality is one among the ethical principles. Then
To make them feel comfortable.
make the client comfortable. Yes,
Being empathetic or
very
sympathetic.
important. Empathetic, not sympathy. Empathy is the one that therapist requires. Empathetic. Empathy means Thinking from that person's perspective, being in somebody else's shoes. That is the description for empathy, being in somebody else's shoes. That is feeling the exactly same thing that the other person feels. That is empathy. Then, how should be a therapeutic relationship between the client and the therapist be?
The client should feel that the client is talking to himself.
Like, you should be that much comfortable.
Yes, ma'am, to be too open, and the therapist should consider it.
Okay. Should they be like best friends who goes to films and dinners every weekend? Not every weekend, at least some weekends. Should they be like that? No. Why? Any idea?
It should be kept within the limits, not like the movie Dear Zindagi.
Yes, it should be kept within the limits. Yes. Then, are you thinking at least? Amal, any point to add? Amal K. Sajji?
Ma'am,
Hmm. Last day it was Messi's birthday, no?
yes, ma'am.
We expected, I mean, at least I expected you in class. I wanted to ask your tree. Okay, back to the topic. What do you think about the relationship between the client and the therapist? What are the do's and don'ts?
The client should be open-minded.
Client should be open-minded. And what about the therapist? Therapist should also be open-minded, isn't it?
Yes,
The therapist should be welcoming. Whatever is coming from the client, the therapist should welcome that. Should be warm, not a cold-hearted individual. Should not sit like with a blunt face, isn't it? Imagine you yourself going to a therapist and then the therapist sitting with a flattened emotional expression. How would that be? Within minutes, you will come out of the room, isn't it? Yes, of course. And will you go back to the therapist again?
no,
No way. Yes. Okay, if you get any points, add. Okay. Amal Raj, tell me. Anything about whatever we discussed right now? Anything you want to add?
The therapist should be well known about what all disorders and
Yes.
he should not misjudge any
Should not misjudge anything. Yes. Misdiagnosis.
Yes, ma'am.
Misdiagnosis happens at times, but we can re-diagnose. We can do a second diagnosis. No problem for that. But yes, the therapist should know how to diagnose things and how to give the exact what do you call management technique or treatment or therapy required for that particular disorder. Okay. And then one more thing that is important is, can anybody who finished the course go for therapy, go for conducting therapy? Just doing an online course and then going for therapy. You think that's right?
No.
No, not at all. Because a well-trained individual is required to do the therapy. Just to be a therapist. Fine. Well-trained individual and also having the knowledge about the therapy as such. And it's not necessary that the therapist should follow all the therapeutic approaches. Suppose if I become a therapist, then I'll like only psychodynamic approach towards therapy. So I am free to follow that as far as it is successful for the client. Okay. Then, what else? Meghna? Anything that you think of the topics that we are discussing? Again, the do's and don'ts. Only these many are there.
Different people would like different kind of approaches from the therapist. So the therapist should understand the person first and behave in that way. Not everyone wants the same behavior.
Yes, a therapist should be flexible enough, isn't it? Yes. Then, Ashish. Think from the point of view of the client or the therapist, then you'll get more points. Ashish, give me any 1 point.
Good smile.
Smile. Like the therapist should smile?
Yes.
Okay. So therapist should have a pleasant face. Is it not? And what about the body language of the therapist? The therapist is leaning backward and then keeping the head sidewards and sitting with the eyes and not eyes, the hands and all on two sides. How would that be for the client? Will the client feel comfortable? No. And how should the therapist sit or be present in front of the client?
When the client is speaking, the therapist should at least lean a bit forward, showing that the therapist is interested in whatever conversation the client is saying.
Yes, leaning forward, that's very important in the body language. Then, you remember we studied how to establish rapport last year? Yes, we did role plays, no? And that time we discussed so many points on how a therapist or how an experimenter should be. The body language, the blah, 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 so many things. What were that blah, 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 blah?
Should keep eye contact.
Yes, maintain eye contact, proper eye contact, and not stare, not like this, not blinking and then staring at the person. Then the client will feel uncomfortable. Just we are maintaining eye contact now, we have to do that. And it's not that you cannot look away from the client. At times, yeah, okay, you can look down, you can look up, you can look towards the side, but the client should feel that you are with the client from your eye contact. Okay, then.
Not being judgmental.
Not being judgmental, yes.
Then you should listen and write down the important points.
If the client is feeling uncomfortable when you're writing, then you can stop writing and then try to store it in your head itself. But if you're very bad at storing it in your head, then you can note the points. You can scribble the points in your report book or notepad whenever the client is in front. When the client is speaking, if you still keep looking down and then writing, then the client will feel, what kind of a therapist is this? Okay. So when the client is speaking and when you feel that you have to be with the client, you have to be with the client. Understood? And at that times you can just look down and then note down the points fast. Then,
Helping the client to modify their decisions or thoughts.
yes, that is important during the therapy. The ongoing process, that is important. Then, am I judgmental? No. Then why are you not speaking up? I've told you, no, even it is a blunder, it's okay. It's our class. No, only these many people are here. No problem. Speak up.
Patience.
Patience, yes.
And try not to interrupt when the client is speaking, because the client is trying to open up his or her mind. So when you interrupt, client may think that the person is trying to give advices or decisions rather than hearing the client.
Yes. So the basic skill always is listening, active listening. Like you have to nod. Remember active listening? You have to nod, you have to lean forward, you have to say aha in between. And then only the client feels that you are getting the point, what he or she is trying to make. Okay. Then. What about the voice?
Person should speak very calmly and in a very warm manner and not in a single tone.
Not in a single tone. If the therapist also speaks in a single tone, then that will be difficult for the client. It will be boring for the client, no. And also, a therapist should speak clearly. Then, what else? Anything else?
Ma'am, the therapist room should be the place where clients should be comfortable and feel good while the room.
Yeah, the rooms, the settings should be proper. Yes, Grishma.
The therapist should be able to handle their own emotions in front of the client.
I cannot hear, dear. Can you be a bit louder?
The therapist should be able to handle their own emotions in front of the client.
Should be able to handle the emotions. Emotions of the client.
Their own emotions in front of the client.
Their own emotions in front of the client. Yes, that's true. Yesterday I watched a movie. I didn't complete, but I watched a part of it. And in that, there is a person, Will. And the film's name is Good Will Hunting. Have you seen? It's a very old movie, 1997, I think. Okay, and this Will is very intelligent in the sense, in terms of mathematics and all. He can solve problems within seconds. And the problems that the professors of that university solved after 2 years, he could solve within seconds. It took 2 years for some of the professors, from some of the scholars in mathematics to solve the problem, but he can solve it within seconds. And then what happens is, one of the professors finds that he has this capability, but he is a very arrogant fellow. He doesn't have empathy towards much people. He is not good at relationships, not very good at relationships. Then he's having so many other problems. I don't know what the real problems are. I'm just watching the movie. And then this particular professor takes him to different therapists. And he somehow manages to get out of the therapist, get out of that therapy, and get rid of the therapist also. Almost 3 or 4 therapists have seen him, and then he has managed to frustrate and irritate them in all the ways possible. Like there was one therapist trying to hypnotize him, and he was like being hypnotized. He was acting as if he is hypnotized, and then finally, when this therapist started asking questions, we even viewers feel like he is being hypnotized. And after a few seconds, he starts singing a song, and then opens his eyes. And then this therapist tells the professor, "I have more important things to do than this. I have more important things to deal with than this particular fellow." So he leaves. And this guy runs behind this therapist and say, "You managed to hypnotize me very well, you know." That's what he says to, he, mocks him. And then he walks away. Finally, this professor takes help from another therapist who was his colleague or friend or an old friend of this professor. And even for the first session, this guy managed to frustrate him also, this guy also. But later on, this guy understood. He talked something bad about that therapist's wife, who is already dead. He didn't know that. The main character, Will, did not know that the therapist's wife is already dead. And finally, this therapist, he didn't sleep for that night, and he was thinking, what is the problem? And he reacted in a very violent way, because the wife is already dead, and the wife was very dear to this therapist, and the client talking bad about his wife, especially the dead wife, is something really emotionally heartbreaking, isn't it? So the therapist reacts to this guy, and the professor asks him what happened. Then this therapist tells the professor, bring him next day at 4 p.m., which means this therapist understood that he has done something bad. Like, he should not have taken the comments of the client personally. He should have controlled his or her emotions then and there itself, and then dealt with the client. So next day, he speaks with the client, that is Will, and then somehow manages to build that rapport. And now, the last thing that I watched is they are in a good therapeutic relationship, and Will is opening up slowly about his problems. He's having so many problems, but I don't know what they are. I'll know only if I finish watching it. Okay. So that's about the discussion. Shall we start the chapter? Okay. Take page number 90. See, it's almost half of the book, right? Okay, look at the introduction part. In the preceding chapter, you have studied about major psychological disorders and the distress caused by them to the patient and others. In this chapter, you learn about the various therapeutic methods that are used by psychotherapists to help their patients. There are various types of psychotherapy. Some of them focus on acquiring self-understanding. Other therapies are more action-oriented. Action-oriented therapies are mainly for dealing with behavioral problems. The other ones are for self-understanding, which means what is to understand what the client's real problem is, what are the causes of the disorder, what has led him or her to this particular abnormality. That is self-understanding type. And action-oriented, they are more in the form of behavioral problems, for solving behavioral problems or for managing behavioral problems. Like in OCD and all, we have compulsions, right? Because of obsessions, people engage in compulsions like counting, cleaning, ordering, all those things. So for that, we have action-oriented therapies. Then, all approaches hinge on the basic issue of helping the patient overcome her or his debilitating conditions, which is the damaging conditions. Then, the effectiveness of a therapeutic approach for a patient depends on a number of factors such as severity of the disorder, degree of distress faced by the others, and the availability of time, effort, and money, among others. So, not only the therapist and the client is required, the client requires money to pay the fees, isn't it? That is one problem. Then, they need time. If they are having a problem, adjustment problem now, and after 2 days they are flying back to Dubai, will they be able to complete the session? Will they be able to receive the actual help that they should, that they deserve? No. Again, no. So they need time and they need effort. They need to come for the therapy, and the therapist has to make an effort to come for the sessions, and it requires effort from the both sides. And all therapeutic approaches are corrective and helping in nature. All of them involve an interpersonal relationship between the therapist and the client or patient. Some of them are directive in nature, such as psychodynamic, while some are non-directive, such as person-centered. In this chapter, we'll briefly discuss some of the major forms of psychotherapy. Directive and indirective means, in directive, the therapist gives more directions. It is therapist oriented. Therapist has a main role in directing the therapy, as in psychodynamic oriented therapies. But in self-centered therapies, person-centered therapy, concepts by Carl Rogers, in that what happens is, therapist is just a facilitator, just a helping hand for the client, and the client actually leads the main role. Client decides the goals. It is up to the client to decide the goals that is to be set. It is up to the client that the goals are achieved also. The therapist just pushes this person towards the goals that are set by the client itself. Okay, so the client has more freedom in self-centered therapies or person-centered therapies. Understood? We'll understand more when we deal with each part. Okay, now first topic is nature and process of psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is a voluntary relationship between the one seeking treatment or the client and the one who treats or the therapist. Underline. So the one who treats, it is known as therapist. One who receives the treatment or one who receives the techniques, management techniques, that is called the client. Generally, we say client and therapist, not the patient and therapist. Doctor and patient, therapist and client. That is how it works. And there are people who work in the psychology field who call the clients as patients. It's up to them. Okay. I prefer calling it client. You can choose your own ways. Do you remember we learned psychology is natural science and social science? In the first chapter, class 11. Psychology as a discipline. Psychology is a natural science as well as a social science. It is a hybrid science. Remember? Yeah, when I taught this to your juniors, there was I already told them that this is a controversial topic because some people believe it's a natural science, some people believe it's a social science, and people like me believe it's a hybrid science. It's a mix of both. And then we had so many not arguments, like differences of opinion that, ma'am, it's only a social science because it deals with all the people. And then when I taught about natural science, I think, okay, yeah, yes. And some of them even Googled whether psychology is a natural science or social science, and then sent me a screenshot. And I told him, I'm not telling the name, and I told them, I have chosen a particular opinion and I have made my mind on this topic. Even I was confused when I studied this for the first time. So I told him, I have made up my mind about this topic and I have decided that I am for this particular argument, that it is a hybrid science. It's a mix of both. And when we finish the course, sometimes you might change your mind. So then you can change your mind when you want, only if you want. after the course. Okay, and I especially told them, according to me and according to the textbook, psychology is a hybrid science. Finished. End of the story. Like that, even you are free to choose whether you want to call your clients as clients itself or as patients. Anything is fine. And I think, in my opinion, client is more, the term client is more open. Like the term patient, it's like you are labeling that this person has a very severe problem. It's because of the schema that we have, mental framework that we have. Because the term patient, that means the person has a big problem. Even if suppose you are a clinical psychologist and a person comes to you for treatment or therapy or a small counseling session, just for 1 or 2 sessions, because of the problems in making career choices. Can we call that a patient? Never, right? So that's why I told you, according to me, the term client is more appropriate in our field. Okay. Now, again, if you ask me, a person with severe schizophrenia comes to therapy, and can we actually call that person a client? I would call the person a client, but when we are doing multidisciplinary type of treatment, like the doctors are involved, the social workers are involved, psychologist is involved, then at times they might call them patients. So we might be forced to call them patients again. Understood? Because with severe schizophrenia, they might be showing these hallucinations, delusions, and very severe problems at times. So we might be forced. So don't feel bad if you are going to take up this field, or if you come across such situations, don't feel bad. Okay. The purpose of the relationship is to help the client to solve the psychological problems being faced by her or him. That is the main aim of the therapy. Then the relationship is conducive for building the trust of the client so that the problems may be freely discussed. That is, the client should be able to open up in front of the particular therapist. Okay. Then psychotherapies aim at changing the maladaptive behaviors, decreasing the sense of personal distress, and helping the client to adapt better to her or his environment. We already discussed that, isn't it? How therapy can be functional towards the changes that happens in the client. Is it not? Like, what do you think? Were you taken away to some other place? Unmute. What are you curious about? Speak up. We can discuss that.
Nothing.
Nothing. No problem. Speak up. No, you don't want to. Is it something personal?
Later on.
Later on. Okay, fine. We are waiting to hear from you. Okay. Then, inadequate marital, occupational, and social adjustment also requires that major changes be made in an individual's personal environment. Yeah, there might be clients with marital problems. There might be clients who have problems at their workplace. That is occupational problems. Then social problems. What comes under social problems? Social issues. Elvina and Amal, please switch on the video. Elvina. Okay. Aishwarya, tell me.
The social circle. It's the person is in.
Person? Social context the person is in. Okay, then. What kind of problems will be the client presenting in front of the therapist?
Maybe family issues, then issues with friends. So all those may make some kind of disorder or problems with the person.
Okay. What about interpersonal issues? That might arise, isn't it? With the person and maybe a close friend of the person, of the client, or maybe even at workplace itself, if the person is having a problem with the colleague, one of the colleagues, that is also coming under social problems. Then with the neighbors, yes, with the family members, all that comes under social problems. Okay. Then what else? All psychotherapeutic approaches have the following characteristics. You have to underline each point. Okay, there are so many points given here. There is systematic application of principles underlying the different theories of therapy. We have learned about different therapeutical approaches. I mean, the theory is based on that, isn't it? Gestalt theories, then the learning principles, then cognitive theories, then the behavioral concept, that is the learning principles, then psychodynamic, the main one, then Carl Rogers theory, self-centered, the self, positive regard, unconditional positive regard. We learned about all those things, isn't it? So all the therapies have a particular theoretical background, and theoretical principles are there based on which we apply the therapy into the client situation. Then, persons who have received practical training under expert supervision can practice psychotherapy, and not everybody. We already discussed that point. Only trained individuals should conduct therapies. An untrained person may unintentionally cause more harm than any good. So a person who is not trained properly, just like an unqualified doctor prescribes medicine. You can imagine how dangerous that would be, isn't it? Yes, just like that, an untrained therapist can also pose certain problems for the client as well as himself or herself for illegal methods. Okay. Then the therapeutic situation involves a therapist and a client who seeks and receives help for her or his emotional problems. This person is a focus of attention in the therapeutic process. Yeah. Therapist and a client is involved in therapy. We all know that. It's an easy point to write also. Okay. Then the interaction of these two persons, the therapist and the client, results in the consolidation or formation of the therapeutic relationship. This is a confidential, interpersonal, and dynamic relationship. Underline confidential, therapeutic, and interpersonal. Dynamic also, dynamic. Okay. Then this human relationship is central to any sort of psychological therapy and is a vehicle for change. So it is based on how much of trust this client is having on the therapist that the relationship is actually built. The rapport between the client and the therapist is very important. And it's based on that the rest of the therapeutic processes follows. If the therapist client or the client therapist relationship is not strong, it's not trustworthy, it's not valid, then do you think there will be a positive change in the client? Not necessarily, because even if we are not going for a therapy, even if we are having a minor problem in our life, we open up to someone we trust, isn't it? If you don't trust anybody around us, then we'll confine to ourselves and talk to ourselves and try to deal with the problem again ourselves. But if we trust somebody, we go and open up to them and seek opinions from them. At least we want them to listen to our problem. Even my minute listening itself is therapeutic. Have you felt that? Yes. Okay. So building the relationship, building the rapport is very important in continuing the therapeutic process. Fine. And all psychotherapies aim at a few or all of the following goals. Can you read any one of you? Amal K. Saji, read first 2 points. Reinforcing clients from there. Page 50, sorry, page 90, right side.
Reinforcing client and resolve for the betterment.
Hmm.
Listening, emotional
Lessening
pressure.
emotional pressure. That is understood, right? Emotional pressure has to be reduced, and then reinforcing clients' resolve for betterment. The client's problems has to be put lowered or reduced, or the what do you call it? The severity has to be reduced so that the client has a better future again, better days coming in his or her life. Then next 2, Raina. Raina.
Holding the potential for positive growth.
Yeah, if they have a bad habit, we have to try and help to modify them. Then unfolding the potential for positive growth. Positive growth has to be enhanced, which means there should be a progress on the positive side for the client. Then what else? Changing thinking patterns. Obviously, for depression and all, the black and white thinking, we learn about that. Black and white thinking, thinking in extremities. If I'm good, I'm good. If I'm bad, I'm very bad. That's the thing. Okay. You think in 2 extremes only. You don't know the medium. That's especially significant in terms of people who suffer from depression. So thinking patterns have to be modified, increasing self-awareness. Sometimes after therapy only we understand that we are capable of too many things. That's why I'm telling you to speak up. You don't know what you're capable of right now. Okay. Then improving interpersonal relations and communication that we already discussed. And facilitating decision making process. The people who find it very difficult to take their own decisions, they can be helped. Then becoming aware of one's choices in life, what I want in life. We at some point of life we are confused of what we actually want. Is there a meaning for life? What are we living for? What is the purpose of life? What should I choose for? What should I live for? So making important choices, then relating to one's social environment in a more creative and self-aware manner. That is relating to your fellow beings, including your pets, your family members, your friends, everybody around you, and making a more beautiful understanding of life. That is also an aim of psychotherapy. Okay, so already time. We'll wind up and then deal with the topic in the next session. Thank you.